Awesome, Jordan. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking me to come in.
I'm so excited to hear a little bit more about your story, though I've already heard it a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to share this with the parish. So excited for you to share your own experience with OCIA because it has looked a little bit different for you
Yeah, it definitely
and
is.
for a couple other people. But today I've got Jordan Schultz with me and just kind of want to start off the process of, in general, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Des Moines. We're actually in Iowa City. My wife's a pediatric resident here, so she's in her third year, um, getting ready to actually finish up her residency and start her fellowship as a neonatologist. So we'll be here at least another 3 years
Yeah.
before she would finish up with that. We have a daughter that's about to turn one. That's been like this last year has really been the most incredible year of our lives. And then on top of that, went through OCIA, which was super fun. So it's kind of been, especially this last few months, kind of a full circle moment for my wife and I, and for our daughter, like that, where our relationship started and where it's at now, has kind of come full circle.
Yeah. How long have you guys been married for?
So we've been married for 3 years. We've been together for a little over six. Um, and kind of met during the COVID era,
Yeah.
and started talking then. Right off the bat, I think we were both pretty upfront with what we wanted in a partner, and agreed on a lot of those things. And
Yeah.
probably the most important part of those conversations was faith.
Hmm.
That we really wanted to be faith based and make that the focal point of our relationship and our lives, and really growing that together.
Yeah. So has it been then like 6 years since you like started talking about the Catholic faith? Was that at a point where you were like, did you have questions right away? What were some like the biggest questions that you
Yeah.
had? And how have you been able to grow since that point? And at what point were you like, I think I want to like join the Catholic Church?
Yeah. So I was born and raised Methodist,
Mhm.
and then kind of throughout college and in my 20s, you know, went to some E-free churches, went to some Lutheran churches, and actually growing up, my Methodist pastor was born and raised Catholic.
Mhm.
So I was really, and he structured our our Sundays very similar to a Catholic Mass.
Mhm.
So immediately when we started going to Mass together, it felt very comfortable.
Mhm.
I knew the structure because I'd kind of been born and raised in that, even though I wasn't born and raised Catholic. But like we had communion every Sunday, like the structure was very similar. So I felt very comfortable right off the bat. And then just really, as time went on, I started really appreciating a lot of the different things about the Catholic Church. I mean, for me, like one of the coolest things is the consistency.
Mhm.
Just that, on any given Sunday, you can go to, any parish across the world, and it's going to be the same readings. It's going to be the same message, and that's not going to change, based on this, that, or the other. It's going to be the same. So that consistency, I think, is super cool and super helpful for me, just in growing my faith. That you kind of can see that roadmap, that you know where things are headed. Um, and yeah, and then I guess for your second question, when I started kind of thinking about becoming Catholic, um, I think I knew pretty early on that that's where I was going to end up.
Mhm.
Um,
In your relationship or like even before?
um, in our relationship,
Yeah.
like the Catholic Church had always kind of interested me,
Mhm.
but I would say my wife was definitely the catalyst for like bringing me to the Catholic Church.
Mhm.
Um, and answering some of those early questions, that started to come up because teachings are different between denominations, and you start kind of having those questions when you start learning about the Catholic Church. And so she was really good about answering some of those first questions. And then actually, we got married at St. Ambrose Cathedral over in Des Moines. And so when we were meeting, with the priest that married us, he was very open about some of those questions as well.
Mhm.
Um, and I think a lot of those early questions that I had were based on things that I had heard about the Catholic Church. Some of those misconceptions, I guess would be the term.
Yeah, do you have any,
Um,
like, I'm gonna jump in. I want to ask if there's, like, any that you
yeah.
maybe even, like, grew up thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the ones that gets thrown around a lot, which again is completely not true, is that like, oh, if you're not baptized Catholic, if you're not confirmed Catholic, like you can't go to heaven.
Mm.
Like Catholic is the only way, and that's not true. You know, that's not a human decision. Like whether or not we go to heaven is not a human decision. That is very much of a higher power. Like we can do the groundwork. Like we can set that basis and do everything that we can down here to get there. But ultimately, that's not our decision. So for someone to say, "Oh, because of this, you can't get to heaven," like that's not true. Now, today, I believe that that's the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Like that I do believe that that's the best way for us to get there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that for me, like that was one of the biggest ones early on. Another one, I think that the Eucharist is something that is very different between denominations, and kind of in the Methodist Church, it's more of a symbolic thing, kind of referencing back, but obviously very different in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that was really cool about OCIA is you guys were very open to answering those questions, because I think that it does bring up, some questions, and we weren't afraid to ask them. That you guys were very open about answering, why is it this way or why is it that way? You guys were always very open to answering those questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember like one of the first times we met. I will have to tell the audience a little bit more about your story, but yeah, go ahead. We're gonna say
well, no. I was like, I think also we should talk about kind of how I went through OCIA.
Yeah.
But
no, I was gonna. So one of the first times we met, and this is on the basis of asking questions. I needed to learn, and I still do need to learn a whole lot more about the Trinity. But I remember there was three of us sitting at a table in Midnight Coffee, and we were at Midnight Coffee in Iowa City, and we were just talking about the Trinity. And another one of the guys was like, well, how could this be the case with the Trinity when this happens, and this happens, and this happens? And at the time, I didn't feel like I had a good answer for him, but I feel like I wanted to make the space to like ask or have everybody ask questions, and like I feel like everybody did a really good job of just like coming where they're at and asking those sort of questions. So I did appreciate that quite a bit. But yeah, tell me. I mean, I would rather you explain your situation of how OCIA went down, what that looked like.
Yeah, and so I guess I kind of referenced earlier that I've known for a while that I was going to end up being Catholic, and was looking for the opportunity to do that. And in a conventional case, obviously you sign up for OCIA, you are able to make it to class every week. And with my current situation, with my wife in residency, and a 1-year-old at home, that became pretty difficult for me. Like there was going to be a lot of Tuesdays that I wasn't going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
And you guys were extremely accommodating and allowing us to kind of do it remote, for lack of a better term. So we could listen to the recordings every week. We would meet then probably once a month to kind of go over those recordings. And just that whole structure made it available to me, something that beforehand I was like, okay, I probably am going to have to wait until she's out of residency to go through OCIA. So I think that flexibility was huge. And for anyone out there that kind of has that same concern of, oh, I've got these conflicts on these days, especially in the Iowa City area, it's possible.
Yeah, because I think the other two, did they both work nights, or I think they were working at the time.
Yeah, yep. So I know Jeremy worked nights.
Yeah.
And because I think he would come in right before he would go.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is a good time to recognize, like, if the timing doesn't work out, for whatever reason, like if you do work the night shift and you're interested in doing this, or if you got kids at home and you can't like find a babysitter, your spouse is somewhere, like we do want to be able to accommodate, and like we were very happy to be able to do that
Yeah.
for you. So what was that experience like doing it then remote? Because I think you do, in a sense, you do miss out on the community aspect of
100%.
OCIA. But tell me a little bit more about like what was good.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely, you miss out on that weekly, and I got to see it a little bit from time to time of like the discussion times that I wouldn't be able to when I'm listening remote. But
Mm-hmm.
I think as you become more accustomed to it, it it provides a space for reflection,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe deeper reflection in that during those times you're kind of sitting there with yourself and your own thoughts, and so it allows you to kind of mull over those thoughts more and more. And so it definitely has an advantage that way. That you don't feel so alone, I guess. Like there's definitely time to reflect, in a pretty meaningful way.
Mm-hmm. What are some of like the biggest takeaways that you had coming through after some more reflection?
Yeah. I mean, I guess yeah. My biggest takeaways from this whole process. I mean, I think for me the biggest one is probably just like confidence in my faith. Before OCIA, I mean, I'll be the first person to admit that it would have been pretty hard for me to sit in the chair, and really talk openly. And I'm a kind of a reserved person, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that for me has been the biggest kind of growing point. Um, and then like the community that being a part of OCIA, and furthermore being a part of St. Mary's, that it has brought us a pretty cool community to be a part of. Um, like we've made some friendships there. There's a great men's group there as well that has kind of formed, and it's been really cool to be a part of, and something that I think I've seen myself really grow into.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've been Catholic, or yeah, I'd say you received confirmation what, like a month ago?
Yeah,
About
yeah,
a month
yeah.
ago.
Right at Easter Vigil.
And I guess you're receiving First Holy Communion. You've been able to do that for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
What's that been like after receiving sacraments?
Yeah, I mean it's been awesome. Obviously, I've witnessed it, countless times over the last 6 or so years, and one thing that I was always big on and encouraged by my wife is to go up and get the blessing. So I've been kind of going through the motions that way, but to actually be able to receive the sacrament is was incredible. It was a pretty emotional experience there at Easter Vigil. I mean, that was the whole experience was very cool, but kind of got capped off by that. Like it was pretty cool to have my first communion be at Easter Vigil.
Yeah, not everybody got to do that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there was 30 some people who received it the following week. So you were like a part of the 5 people who like couldn't make that time work next week.
Yeah.
And so it's a very emotional experience. As a
Yeah,
whole,
it was
as is,
very cool.
but, that's awesome. Is there anything now that you are, I don't know if I asked this question already, but is there anything you're excited about?
Yeah. I think one of the things I'm most excited about is, like I said, our daughter's coming up on being 1. She was baptized Catholic. We will obviously raise her Catholic, and I get to be a part of that now. To fully be a part of that now, and just really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to being able to share that with my wife as well. And as we, hopefully kind of further our family, be able to really encourage that as a family, and share that with, all of our hopeful future kids.
Yeah, that's so exciting. We had somebody in a similar boat, has a couple kids, and they joined the Catholic Church at the Vigil as well, and she was just very excited about being of like the same mind as her husband and her kids.
Yeah.
And so that's just awesome, and kind of shows like the unitive part of being a family.
Yeah, no,
So is there anything else that you feel like about your story, just about the journey as a whole, that you'd like to be able to share with anybody?
I think just the most important thing is be open to asking those questions. I think that, and you guys talked about it early on, that OCIA it's a journey, and so I think like we watched that video series early on, and it was just like, hey, just be open to watching. Just come the first week.
Mm-hmm.
If you have those questions, ask them. Be open to asking them, and just give yourself the opportunity to learn, and to kind of experience what the Catholic Church has to offer, and um, kind of the teachings of the Catholic Church. Just be open to that, and see where your heart takes you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time
Yeah,
today,
no,
Jordan.
yeah. Thanks so much for having me in.
Yeah.